Hello, friends. Welcome back. A bit of a somber Sunday as we recap UFC Fight Night Whittaker versus Aliskerov, aka UFC Saudi Arabia, UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia. It was a very good card. Very good card. I think pretty much every fight except for a specific few, which we'll get there when we get there. Every fight was pretty good, except for a couple of exceptions. Every fight was at least good, if not great, in my opinion. Bit of a somber Sunday, like I said, because unfortunately our fellow New Yorker got fucking brutally robbed. They brutally robbed this man, Jared Gordon. But we'll get there when we get there. I'm about to start off with the early prelim opener, which was a great fucking early prelim opener of Chang Ho Lee versus Long Zhao. I picked Chang Ho Lee. I specifically had him winning by KO/DQ in round 2. Now, it was not that. He won by decision, but it was still calm, and it was a great fight. It was a fucking great fight. We really don't get to see that level or that amount either of clinch fighting in the UFC. There is clinch fighting, obviously. Most fights there is a bit of clinch, but real extended clinch fighting, or specifically only clinch fighting, initiating clinches to fight in the clinch, we really don't see that as much. We might see it in a specific matchup if a guy realizes he can have his way with the other guy in the clinch. Then, yeah, maybe we'll see a lot more clinch implemented. But we really don't see it like we saw it with Chang Ho Lee versus Long Zhao. Now, I was very scared because when they were fighting, it was like the fighters I had watched in my research for this one had switched. Fucking Chang Ho Lee was fighting like Long Zhao, and Long Zhao was fighting like a better Chang Ho Lee. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. I had thought already, and I said this in my prediction video, that Long Zhao is the better fighter technically. I thought he's more skilled and he has more skills available to him. But Chang Ho Lee is extremely explosive, extremely athletic. They were talking all this shit about Chang Ho Lee's takedowns, like he's known as a wrestler. Look, in the little research that I did, which was just watching his last fight on Road to UFC versus some crazy named dude, he got fucking ragdolled. So it was never in my mind that this dude is even like a grappler per se. He's competent. He's not incompetent. The dude that he was facing, that Chang Ho Lee faced on Road to UFC, was ragdolling the fuck out of him. Like, taking him down at will, and every time Chang Ho Lee would get a takedown of his own, it would get reversed before he hit the ground, and he would end up in the submissive position, in the less dominant position. End up on bottom, simply put. Chang Ho Lee was able to get this one done. There was a bit of a spooky cut that took place in the first round, or maybe the second round, where Long Zhao did get sliced open somehow. I don't remember how that happened. It might have even been a headbutt. That was definitely a bad visual, and the fight was very competitive otherwise. I do think Chang Ho Lee got it done, and that was a deserved win. I thought he was using the clinch to his advantage, and that's where he was finding success, was in the clinch, with knees in the clinch. It was massive as fuck. He would catch Long Zhao here and there, but Long Zhao came out looking like a completely different fighter than I had seen him before. He actually was moving his head a little bit. He wasn't just letting himself get pelted by shots. Like, that's what I was really scared of Long Zhao. That's why I thought he was actually going to get put away, because he has also been put away, and that's just his style. It's not that his striking defense is non-existent. His striking defense is to block punches with his face. But Long Zhao looked great, so did Chang Ho Lee. Very nice debut. I think both dudes actually have a place in the UFC, I'm not going to lie. I know that might not be the case just with the nature of the tournament, but Long Zhao is not dog shit. In fact, I think he's more refined and more polished than Chang Ho Lee. I'll say that. I am interested in seeing both dudes, though. Moving on. This was the canceled fight. I'm not even going to mention it. Moving on to Brenton Ribeiro. Oh, God. Pain, man. Super pain versus Magomed Gazisulov. Hope I said that right. I picked Brenton Ribeiro, right, to get this one done by round 1 KO, TKO, DQ. He almost, not even almost, it's tough to say almost now. It's not that he almost got it done that way. But Brenton Ribeiro came out with a actually very good game plan that really, excuse me, please tell me I'm not getting the hiccups. Brenton Ribeiro came out with a game plan that actually I thought was very, very well put together but he could not sustain it in any fashion. And that game plan was to grapple, was to actually out-wrestle Magomed. And there were moments, especially in the first round, where he wasn't ragdolling Magomed, but he was moving him around. He was just moving him around, straight up moving him around, taking him down. Now, Magomed would get back up to the feet, but he would get him back down. Like, it was actually impressive to me, and I was like, holy shit, Brinson actually has a way bigger chance than I thought, legitimately. Until Brinson Ribeiro, it's not even the fact that he was getting reversed or that Magomed got a takedown on him. After that happened, that's kind of what started it, though. I can't say it has nothing to do with that. After Brinson Ribeiro ends up on his back, though, I want to say in round 2, it was like he just gave up. He just fucking gave up, man. Like, he accepted the bottom position the entire time, and then after that, he was gassed, man. He was done. He was just fucking done. He couldn't fight anymore. He straight up could not fight, man. Disappeared. I was extremely upset. I was saying, cut Brinson Ribeiro. He might actually have to be cut, though. Like, that was really bad. That was a really bad drop, man. You dropped that one heavy. And I believed. And I fucking believed. It's a shame, man. But I think Magomed actually got exposed a tiny bit there. I think people were expecting Magomed to literally run through Brinson Ribeiro. That did not happen. That did not happen at all. There were moments where, on the stool, fucking Magomed was, like, tweaked a little bit. He was like, he couldn't believe that this fight was still going on. So, I think that Magomed will get his due type shit. Brinson Ribeiro has already got his. I don't know if we'll see him again. Moving on to Kyung-Ho Kang. Man, Mr. Perfect versus Muin Gafurov. This was just fucking AIDS, man. I was upset. I thought maybe it's just me coping. I haven't rewatched the fight. I thought maybe Kyung-Ho Kang did enough to win that one. But it was very competitive. Like, it wasn't a robbery. It was not a robbery, I think, if either dude won that. Maybe that one I should go back and rewatch, but regardless, Kyung-Ho Kang did very well, but there was something spooky about Muin Gafurov in this fight. When he was landing punches, it seemed like his, like, fucking gloves were, like, stuffed or some shit. Like, it was so weird, man. He would land single punches, and Kyung-Ho Kang looked like he got hit by, like, a brick. Like, someone threw a brick at his head. He would, like, blink and look around. He'd be like, what the fuck was that? Like, God, man. You know, Muin was just also, like, unbelievably strong, it seemed. Like, whenever strength was to be displayed, whether it was through grappling or effective striking, it showed, like, unbelievably. Like, it was scary. That's not, like, any accusations or anything. It's just, like, that's just what I felt. You know, that was just a vibe that I got while watching. Muin Gafurov seemed very, very, very strong. But, hey, in the moments where Kyung-Ho Kang did best, he actually was able to, like, take the back and take dominant positions in the grappling. And when he would, he looked a lot more dominant in the grappling. It goes back to that strength thing. That was the thing. When Muin had the upper hand, it just looked like he deadass was stronger and holding him down. Kyung-Ho Kang, when he got mount and he would transition into mount, like, he was holding him down, locking him down, had the hips pressed down, like, very technical with it, but hey, man, he took some risks. The risks did not pay off, unfortunately, in the judges' eyes. For Kyung-Ho Kang, Mr. Perfect, I am interested to see both dudes again. Specifically, I want to see Muin Gafurov get sent to hell. But we might have to wait on that. God, man. This fight was spooky. This next fight was spooky. Renat Fakretnov versus Nicholas Dalby, right? In my prediction video, I was saying Nicholas Dalby has fought against fate on some fucking guts from Berserk shit. He fights against the hand that fate has dealt him. He's not just going to be an NPC that looks okay and then dudes eventually finish him. He's fighting. He's dead fighting. He does not, he won't accept losing, Nicholas Dalby. I really respect that. I fuck with that a lot. And he's nowhere near as bad as people think he is, and he's oftentimes better than it. And I'm actually guilty of that a little bit too. I thought Renat was going to win, but what stuck in my mind and what I said in my prediction video was Nicholas Dalby has a crazy trend of winning fights that on paper he really shouldn't. Like, when he's a dog, he wins fights, actually. He might even have, maybe not after this one, but I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if this dude has a winning record as a dog. Like, it's crazy, actually. In the UFC, it's a little nutty, man. It's a little nutty. He almost won this one. He got dropped bad. Nicholas Dalby got dropped really bad in the first round. Like, straight up, knees, like, legs went out, and he fell straight down. But recovered recovered insanely, and was able to wobble and really hurt Renat Vakhretnov, I want to say, in the second round multiple times. Like there was a finish in the water for both guys, for real. It was very, very, very close, very competitive, a good fight. Like I said, almost all these fights were really good, you know. The Brenson Hibeta one was actually one I wanted to say that really was not that good, because once Brenson fucking gassed and he quit, it was over. It was over. It was all but over. We had to wait for a decision, but hey. Shit was just, it is what it is. Hats off to Nicholas Dalby for scrapping the fuck out of that. Renat, actually, I really didn't like that performance too much because he got hurt and wobbled multiple times. Multiple times. And in the beginning, you could tell, especially right before the knockdown and after it, Renat was feeling himself. Like, he started smiling. He was like, he was feeling really good until it started coming back to him, and then he changed up completely. He didn't break fully, but there were a lot of cracks. A lot of fucking cracks, we'll say, for Renat Vakhretnov. Moving on to the brutal robbery. Gotta spark it up for Jared Gordon. And he's not in this fucking pack. In fact, we're smoking on Nasrat Haqparast. Smoking on his dumb ass. Again, similar to Renat Vakhretnov, Nasrat Haqparast feeling good, feeling confident, landing flashy, fast combos until it started coming back to him type shit. Until some of that New York, some of that Queen's power started landing on him. Holy shit. Again, first off, huge shout out to fucking Jared Gordon. Showing people New York. Queens get the money. Queens stand up. Bro, that's New York Warrior shit. That's just how we do it. If we don't even look the best, we're still scrapping our fucking minds out. We're going out on guts shit. On some guts from Berserk shit. That's the shit we're trying to go out on. Nasrat Haqparast thought it was sweet. Thought he could land nice little fast combos and shit. A young man. Hell no, brother. Hell no. Jared Gordon would crack him with one almighty shot, and Nasrat would be like, oh, whoa. And then you noticed, actually, towards the end of all of the rounds, you'd be like, whoa, Nasrat's face actually has damage. It legitimately has damage. The first round, I did think that Nasrat did win. He did enough to take that one. Even though Jared Gordon didn't just go out. That was one of Jared Gordon's worst rounds, just because he didn't offer as much as Nasrat offered him. Rounds 2 and 3, I thought they were very competitive, but clear wins for Jared Gordon. Like, very clear wins for Jared Gordon. This was a brutal robbery, man. And I feel like 2 robberies, I don't mean to digress a little bit, but 2 brutal robberies, right? If we include the Paddy Pimblett robbery, that's so fucked up, man. Like, dudes, God, man, that's the shit that has you considering retiring. Like, I'm not gonna lie. After a loss like that, where you went to war, because by the end of it, Jared Gordon did take some damage. Eye was swollen. He was battered. He wasn't really cut. And I think he landed way more damage on fucking Nasrat, but they don't give a fuck about that. That's something that they've forgotten about. They might have said, like, way back in the day, or, like, whenever they reunified the rules, they were like, yeah, damage number 1. No. I don't know what it is. If you ask me, how are these fights judged? If my friends or my sister ask me, how do they actually really judge these fights? I have no fucking clue, actually. I have no clue. I don't know what they're doing. But I'm not trying to tweak out too much. Back to the fight. Jared Gordon versus Nasrat Haqparast. Round 1, Nasrat Haqparast wins. Round 2, I think Jared Gordon clearly fucking wins. And he outstruck him in the last 2 rounds, like, notably. Very notably. And outdamaged him on top of that. What more wins you the round besides maybe a knockdown or, like, fucking 4 submission attempts? Like, than outstriking and outdamaging your opponent in a round. Like, what wins you the round? If that doesn't win you the round, what wins you a fucking round? No one got knocked down. Like, so what does it? What decides these rounds? It's craziness, man. But Jared Gordon gets brutally robbed. I had Jared Gordon winning by decision. He honestly should have won by decision, but he's going to have to hold that L, unfortunately. The UFC told him, go fuck yourself. Bro, Jared Gordon, man. I hope I see you out on the streets in New York, bro. I'd buy you a beer or some shit, bro. Like, shit's rough, bro. Shit's rough. I'm wishing you a speedy recovery from your damage that you did take during that fight, even though it wasn't crazy. Nasrat took, like, just look at fucking Nasrat, bro. Like, It's what everyone was saying after the Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis fight. Like, look at Dricus' face. Look at Dricus' face. Look at Nasrat's fucking face, man. Just look at the numbers. We gotta look at the numbers at, like, what wins these fights. And there wasn't takedowns like there was in Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Like, what is winning these fights, man? It's fucking crazy. It's absolutely fucking crazy, man. Moving on to a fight that wasn't as great, but it was still decent. It was a decent fight. Maybe not good. It might have been one of those fights that wasn't good, but it was a decent fight. Mids, some might say mediocre. Not mediocre. I think it was better than mediocre. Like, it was decent. That fight being Shara Butin-Magomedov versus Antonio Trocoli. Or Trocoli. Antonio Trocoli, as John Anik was saying. I'm going to keep saying Trocoli. Trocoli. But he does have an accent mark, so it really might be Trocoli, but I don't know. Either way, Trocoli held his own for the first round, you know, and he didn't go out. Well, he did get finished, and then the finishing sequence leading up to it was like he was done, but this throws more dirt on Shara than it does on Antonio Trocoli. Antonio Trocoli stepped up super short notice to take this fucking fight, made the weight. I respect Trocoli a lot for stepping in and saving fucking Shara's fight. Shara should thank him, because Shara also cheated like a little rat fuck, okay? And I'm not saying that if that takedown happens, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. What I'm talking about, what I'm referencing is, I want to say, I don't know. I think it was maybe round 2. I think it was round 2 towards the end. Like the latter half of round 2, where Antonio Trocoli actually was working for the takedown, and he almost he basically got it. Like, Shara took flight, Shara was up in the air, and Shara threw out his arm and grabbed the fucking cage and anchored himself, and it saved him. And the ref saw it, but it's tough because I think Shara actually really did do that, like, just as, like, on reflex, like, just straight on instinct. Like, it was unintentional in that regard. Like, he didn't do it consciously, because immediately he showed remorse. He was like, sorry. He was like, damn. Like, what I don't fuck with, though, is that the ref, I don't even remember who was reffing it, like, accepts the apology, basically, and does fucking nothing. Does absolutely nothing, man. It's really rough. It's really rough. Even the commentators, like Daniel Cormier was talking about, that is one of those times where you should deduct a point. Like, straight up. Just straight up. Like, because that's really fucking bad, man. Like, I'm not saying that changes the fight 100%, but who knows if it does, man. People get knocked out getting taken down. I'm not talking about the slam KOs where someone's going for a submission and they get slammed. I'm talking about they get taken down and they get knocked out. That's happened in the UFC, and it's some of the freakiest knockouts you'll see. There's one, I forget their names, but it's like a white blonde dude, pretty brolic, with green shorts, and a shorter, also equally as brolic, if not more brolic, black dude who's a bit shorter. I think he was wearing white shorts, maybe blue shorts, and he has cornrows, I think, or braids, if not cornrows, and he just fucking tosses the white guy to the ground. White guy hits his temple on the ground, KO'd. Like, freaky shit happens, man. So if you don't penalize that, I don't know what to say, man. And there was something that happened, I want to say, earlier in the fights where, like, a position was, like, taken and given, like, off of some other shit. But anyways, Shara is eventually able to find a finish in the third round, and the finish was nice. The finish was somewhat spectacular, you know, but people are criticizing Shara because you should have gotten a dude like Antonio Trocoli out a lot sooner. Not to shit on Antonio Trocoli in the slightest. It's just the amount of hype that surrounds Shara, combined with the fact that he stepped in on super short notice. It's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, you're supposed to be brutally finishing dudes, right? You're the spooky one-eyed killer, right? Like, there was none of that. And I think a lot of that mystique and that aura has disappeared completely. Aura, not in the meme sense. I was literally using that. Shara, I don't know what's next for Shara. We're going to have to wait until the UFC fucking leaves America again and goes back to Saudi or some fucking place. Another thing I want to say about that, man. When it comes to those like fights in those venues, if you have any of your picks or if you're gambling on anything to end by decision, you should realize that that's a little bit more that's a bit more of a tenuous wager, tenuous proposition than meets the eye than it would be if it was in the United States. In the United States, it's bad enough, bro. It should be going crazy. I make jokes to my friends. I'm like, especially if I'm gambling on a fight. But regardless, it doesn't even matter if you're gambling. If you're just picking fights, right, and the fight goes to decision, that's another fight in and of itself. I tell that to my people. I'm like, this is the real fight. You thought that was a fight just now? This is the real fucking fight. The judges versus us. Vegas versus us, basically. Shit's crazy. Now, it gets even spookier when it's in Saudi because it's not Vegas calling, it's fucking Saudi calling. They're right there. They're in the building. They're not trying to fuck around. Vegas, they make the call, but they're like across the street. You know, it's in Vegas. If it's at the Apex. And they can't get away with it every time. They try to limit themselves to like one, maybe if it's necessary, if they deem it necessary, 2 brutal robberies. Usually on a fight night, usually in the early prelims, and they'll hide it, you'll never hear about it type shit. You would have had to have watched it to have peeped that. Now, when it gets to this shit in fucking Saudi, though, we're talking about Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker 1. Should have been a fucking DQ. They changed that to a no contest. Forget about that. Just don't even worry about that. Don't think about that. We're talking about these fucking tweaked-ass scorecards. We're talking about dudes getting brutally robbed, like fucking but like Jared Gordon, like, it's spooky, man. It's very spooky. It's very spooky. And I think, honestly, if Muhammad Naimov won, they probably would have given it to him. Like, even though I think he lost that fight, they probably would have given it to him. Moving on. Spent a little bit too much time on Shara's fight. Good for Shara, though. He won. He got a finish. Time to see a big... it's going to be a bit unfair to Shara, but it's time to see a big step up in competition for him, you know? I don't know if he's necessarily ready for it, but the way they've pushed him, that's what we need to see. Unless we see Shara against a name, people are going to stop caring. People are going to stop giving a fuck after this one, especially people that just watched this fight. Moving on to Johnny Walker versus Volkan Ozdemir. Jesus Lord in heaven, man. I was praying. I had faith. I was like, I'm going to pick Johnny one more time. I'm going to go with an emotional pick. This will now be the second time I've said this on this channel. I'm going to try to stop the emotional picks entirely. Unless it's a rare circumstance like Jared Gordon. If you're from New York City, I got your back. But, man, Johnny Walker, bro. It's clipped. And I was kind of reassured before this fight had started, with all the shit that Johnny was saying. He was like, you know, I just had a kid. I feel re-inspired. I'm re-motivated to do this. I like hearing that. I feel like if you watch fights, you might have come to this conclusion yourself. I feel like there's a trend of when there's major life events that happen in a fighter's life, outside of the cage, irrespective of the cage, for real, like having a kid, getting married, something like that, their next fight is going to end in extremely decisive fashion. Win or lose. Win or lose. They're either going to knock people the fuck out, tap people out, or they're going to get brutally finished themselves. This was one of the times where it was the latter. I was praying. I was like, Johnny, if you get KO'd, please just don't let it be brutal. It was brutal. It was brutal. I low-key would be okay if that was the last time we saw Johnny Walker. I'm being very serious. That was a really, really bad knockout, man. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, he shouldn't have gotten knocked out by that. Nah, those were nutty knockout punches, but jeez, man. I don't want to see Johnny get KO'd again like that. Like, that was bad. That was so fucking bad. Another dude, very gifted physically, but tweaker. Johnny Walker's a tweaker. We all know this. We all fucking know this. Johnny Walker's a tweaker. Johnny Walker versus Volkan Ozdemir. Volkan Ozdemir knocks him out brutally. Volkan had zero respect for Johnny's striking, honestly. Just walked through it. Hurt Johnny eventually. He was hunting for the finish. He said it the entire time. He was like, I think he's chinny. I think if I land on his chin, I'll put him out. And he did. It's really simple as that. He stalked and walked down Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker got hurt, threw a flying knee that looked good, but it wasn't anywhere near landing, and then he got sent to hell. It's very tough, man. Johnny, bro. I wish Johnny a speedy and full recovery, for real. And please spend some time with your kids and family. And lay off the Fortnite while you're at it. Moving on to Muhammad Naimov. This is a fantastic fight. Muhammad Naimov versus Felipe Lima. Despite picking... Excuse me for rubbing my eyes so much. I just feel like I got some ash or some shit in it. Despite losing... Despite me picking Muhammad Naimov, right, and him losing, I was very happy with the outcome of this fight because Muhammad Naimov is a fucking rat, bro. I never liked Muhammad Naimov. I just had to pick him here because I thought he was actually going to dog walk Felipe Lima. I was saying a lot of shit about Felipe Lima's too small. You know, he's moving up in weight. He's not going to have the power to match Naimov. He won't be able to do anything, like, effectively to him. He's going to get dog walked. I have to eat all that shit completely, bro. Because that was not the case at all. First round, Felipe Lima comes out looking fucking amazing. An amazing debut for Felipe Lima. Short notice debut, moving up in weight, and you dog walk Muhammad Naimov. This is the fraud check that we've been waiting for. This is the fucking fraud check that we've been waiting for. Because people have known Muhammad Naimov. He's really not him. Like, the Jamie Malarkey win, that was like, okay. Even though I picked Jamie and I was very upset about that, I was like, this motherfucker, I'm waiting. Because, like, when a good striker meets you, it's going to be clipped, bro. He fights Nathaniel Wood, cheats his ass off to save his skin. Ends up winning that one. And god damn, I can never remember his last fight. Fuck, what? I don't remember his last fight, but fuck it. Wins that fight too, 3-0 in the UFC. Finally, this dude Felipe Lima comes, and Felipe Lima made a big name for himself. Maybe not in like in the entire MMA community, but like for real, like the people who watch Fight Nights, people who are trying to look out for new fighters, definitely will be watching out for Felipe Lima from now on, because he comes out there, stands toe-to-toe with Muhammad Naimov, looks absolutely 10 times the fighter that fucking Muhammad Naimov is. Throws slick technique on the feet. Piecing up Naimov. Eventually is able to get in one of the tightest and broody rear naked chokes. Just forces Naimov to fucking tap. It was so beautiful the way that Naimov's like head, his skull was getting squeezed, like in it, and it was, oh god, man. Shit was almost lip biting amounts of pleasure, but fantastic fucking debut for Felipe Lima. I'll accept losing that pick and eating all my words because I'm actually very excited to see Felipe Lima's career. That's a good signing, man. Felipe Lima is a dog, bro. I'm very excited. And if he goes back down to 135, he actually might be a problem. Like a legitimate problem. God. Everyone cheer that Muhammad Naimov got fucking exposed. Fraud check. It was late, but it came. It came from Muhammad Naimov. Get fucked, kid. Moving on. Kelvin Gastelum versus D-Rod. Daniel Rodriguez. I picked Kelvin Gastelum to win this one by decision. I was saying that a KO-TKO might not be out of the question. And Kelvin was trying, but Kelvin calmly won. Kelvin calmly won by decision. It will be mired in controversy because Kelvin came in notably overweight, like 10 pounds over, which is a lot. Like, that's nutty shit. There was even a moment, actually, I want to say, like, right before the fight ended, actually, like, towards the end of the third, like, a minute and a half or a minute left, when Kelvin was on top in, like, side control or half guard, and Daniel was like, you feel heavy, bro? He was like, you feel really heavy, bro. Like, he said some shit like that. Kelvin didn't say anything back, I think, but, like, it was just jokes. It was a good win for Kelvin Gastelum, aside, obviously, from the fact that he missed weight horrendously. I thought Kelvin should have taken this one easier than it was. D-Rod looked a lot better than he did versus Ian Gary. He was saying he felt a lot better than he did versus Ian Gary as well, and it showed. It did show. But it just was not enough. It was not enough. good grappling from Kelvin Gastelum. Granted, having 10 pounds of weight will definitely fucking help you get brutal takedowns, but neither here nor there. Moving on to Sergey Pavlovich versus fucking Alexander Volkov, man. This is one of those fights that has you leaving like a fool, and I'm just like, I don't know why I didn't pick Alexander Volkov, especially as an underdog. Like, for real. He dog-walked Sergey Pavlovich. It is what it is. I had Sergey winning by KO TKO, but this one I feel like I almost don't want to talk about just because it's one of those fights that literally leaves you feeling foolish. You're like, God damn, I should have fucking went with this dude Volkov. And I really had a feeling about Volkov, but I was like, let me just chill. Like, you know, like, let me not, like, wait, like, get good, like, let me not be all hyped for the fucking final two fights just to see one of my boys get starched in a second, essentially. But that's not what happened. It's not what happened. Phenomenal performance for Alexander Volkov. I'm actually looking forward to seeing him again. Sergey, it's spooky. I mean, I feel like he'll probably win his next fight by KO, TKO in round one, just on some spooky shit, but who knows. Moving on to the main event of Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. I don't know what happened to me. I actually, I'm going to be completely honest. I was sitting in my chair, right? Waiting for that shit to start, and I fucking fell asleep, right? And I woke up, and the fight had ended. But I didn't know the fight had ended. They were playing the UFC, like inter-stream shit, like inter-show shit. In between the shows, like, their stream shit. And I remember a card had, or a graphic had, like, went across the screen, and it still said UFC, Jesus Christ. It was like UFC Fight Night Whittaker versus Aliskerov will begin shortly, or stream will begin shortly. And I was like, okay, it's probably going to start in like 5 minutes. Then like 15 minutes later, I was like, did the fucking fight end? Like, I just missed the whole fight? And it did. It ended apparently round one, you know, dog walks fucking Ikram. I fucked with that. I was saying round 4, KO, TKO, DQ. It came in round 1. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. I knew that this was a big step up for Ikram, man. And even though it was a lot of risk for Robert, he showed levels. That's what I said. He was going to show levels. He did show levels. Finished Ikram, absolutely. That's going to be a big hiccup in the road for Ikram now, actually. You know, if you were to just lose, if it was going to be a KO, TKO, especially in the later rounds after putting on a good fight, different story. Lost by decision, different story. Get tapped, different story. Round 1 finish. That's not a good look, brother. That's really not a good look. It's going to be back to the prelims for Ikram Aliskerov. And well-deserved, too, back to the prelims. I'm glad. I'm very glad. If Ikram wins, I don't like what's going to happen next. All in all, a phenomenal night. Phenomenal selling it greatly, but Phenomenal's doing a lot of work there. But a great night of fights, I'll say. It was. It really was. You know, there weren't a lot of finishes. I thought there were going to be a lot more finishes. But the finishes that we got were very good. So, what more can you ask for? Let's see. How many finishes were there? 4? Were there 4? I think so. I think there was only 4. 4 finishes out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 finishes out of 11 fights isn't too shabby. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I low-key thought it was going to be around 6 or 7, but I'm always bloodthirsty. I always say there's going to be a lot of finishes. Oh, whenever I say there's going to be a lot of finishes, take that with a fucking tablespoon of salt. Because I'm a tweaker. Hope you enjoyed it, Jay, along with me in this video. That's pretty much it. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Or I don't know how long this one is, but it feels short, and it feels pretty sweet. So I think I'll let you go. I think I'm going to play a little Elden Ring. You can be on the lookout for a video that hasn't been It's going to be a departure from any MMA content. It's actually going to be a Broadway review / rant, really. It's been filmed already. I'm considering refilming it just because, for some context, I saw this show recently, very hot show right now. It won a lot of Tony Awards, called Stereophonic. Big show on Broadway right now. I saw it a couple days after the Tonys last week. And it was mediocre as a motherfucker. Like, whoa. It was painful, actually, in some regards. Painful in some regards, mind-numbing in others. It was very fucking... It was just so queer. Like, queer as in strange. Like, it was just bizarre. It was really fucking bizarre, man, how mediocre it was. And immediately after watching that, I had gotten home and I filmed a rant, and it was like magic. It was like just pure magic. I was like singing the Song of the Gods, like, while I was ranting that motherfucker. But my phone died the second, like, as I was going to stop the recording, and it just deleted it. It didn't save it. It was such a shame. A solid 20 minutes on Stereophonic, why it's mediocre as fuck. A couple of plays that have gotten massively overlooked. Some plays that should have never gotten the attention they got. Like, they shouldn't have even sniffed that level of attention. You can expect that video to come soon. Hopefully, some people enjoy that one. Maybe it'll bring in a small... Or it'll start off a smaller, different audience who peeps the MMA content and they're like, what the fuck? But... anyways, now I'm just chatting. Thank you for watching, as always. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending a little bit of your Sunday or whatever day you watch this with me. Any day. As always, I always say as always for this part, but I don't mean to. Like the video if you like it. Dislike the video if you dislike it. If you dislike it, also let me know in the comments why you dislike it. Anything you want to say, I'll always respond. I love talking to people that leave comments. And as always... much love. Take a hit of that for me. Big kiss.